Welcome to our evening of Images of Greatness. I am Heidi Ricker.
I am Kennedy Brown. These eminent people behind me will read their bio riddles. Listen carefully to see if you can guess whom they represent.
I will read my facts first, then motion to the next student to read theirs. They will state their name, then read their facts.
When I was in school, I never dreamed of being a teacher. I never wanted to. That's a tough job. 13 years later, I became one of the best known teachers. Like all good teachers, I was calm, collected, and clever. I made a breakthrough in history by teaching a deaf, blind, and mute girl to read and understand words. Whenever she was feeling down about herself, I always had a way to make her feel better. I was in lots of films with my students. In 1932, I was awarded honorary fellowships from the Educational Institute of Scotland. In 1955, I was awarded an honorary degree from Harvard University. I was selfless and loved to help people. I graduated June 1st, 1886 from Perkins Institute for the Blind in Boston. I graduated as a valedictorian. I loved to write, mostly letters, and liked to take trips with my students. I was married to John Macy, but not too long after we split up. My eyes apparently did not like me, and I came down with trachoma. I never had any children. My favorite color was blue, and I loved vegetables. Who am I? Yes, I am Anne Sullivan.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I know it's a lovely day, even though I'm impaired visually. I have touched lions, monkeys, and elephants. I was born on June 27, 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. In February of 1882, at only 19 months old, I came down with a horrible illness. From then on, for the rest of my life, the world has been blocked out from me. When my babysitter Mildred was just a toddler, I tipped her crib over while she was in it and almost killed her. I went to Radcliffe College in 1900 and was the first deaf and blind person to graduate. I went all around the world and became famous. So famous, people even called me the eighth wonder of the world. In 1932, I was awarded an honorary fellowship from the Educational Institute of Scotland. In the same year, I got awarded the honorary degree from Temple University. Who am I? Yes, I am. Please be sure to look at our products displayed on the tables around the room after the last bio riddle has been read.
I was invited into Strong Hearts, then became their leader. I hit an enemy with a coup stick and got a gray eagle feather. I led a war party to the great Sioux nation. Many other leaders signed a treaty at Fort Lamar. But I didn't. When I was little, my mother and sister called me slow because I took my time. As a reward for bravery, I got a new name. When I did the Sundance, I was the youngest out of 3 men to do it. We won a famous battle called the Battle of Little Bighorn. The railroad was built that goes right through our lands. Once I fell asleep in the woods and I had a dream about a bear. When I woke, a bird told me to stay still on the ground and the bear came. We used buffalo droppings for fuel since wood was scarce on the plains. I killed a crow chief, but he shot me first in the legs, and now I limp. Who am I? Yes, I am Sitting Bull.
I love to dance more than anything else in the world. Today I'm dancing at the Kennedy Center in Swan Lake. I'm the first black woman ever to have starred in this role. The strangest thing you will find in my dance bag is men's cologne. I prefer it to women's. When I was in middle school, I was the captain of the drill team. I liked the drill team better than dance. My family didn't like dance when I was growing up because we didn't really know about it. We watched football on Sundays. Now, of course, I like dance better than anything. I'm a 32-year-old soloist in New York's prestigious American Ballet Theater. In the dance school, I often wanted to run away and hide when I missed a step. The other students would laugh at me. While I was dancing the lead role in Harvard at American Ballet Theater, I was always thinking, this is for the little brown girls in the world. I rehearsed 8 hours every day now that I'm in a show. I love Mariah Carey's music. I met her on the at American Ballet Theater. We supported each other. I'm often asked, how do you do it? My response has always been lots of hard work and determination. After my poem class, I would soak my feet in a bucket of ice water and wash back. ballet on my TV. I couldn't get enough to dance. Who am I? Yes, I am Misty Copeland. One of my favorite things to do is clean the dishes. Although I never graduated college, I'm one of the richest men in the world. When I was 13, I went to Lakeside School where I learned how to code computers. In 1977, I was arrested for driving without a license. I was born October 28, 1955. My house is 66,000 square feet and it has a built-in pool and gym. I think my most expensive purchase was my private jet. Yes, I'm still alive. 2000 was a big year for me because my wife and I founded our family foundation. I've donated millions of dollars to the foundation. The foundation uses the money it receives for vaccines and college scholarships. In 2014, I completed the Ice Bucket Challenge and made a viral video with Jimmy Fallon. I'm the co-founder of the company that created the Xbox, but I don't work there anymore. Who am I? Bill Gates. Yes, I am Bill Gates.
One of my favorite snacks is raw eggs. I often snack on these for strength while in office. My life has been very long with years in political office. Although I've been serving the American people for many years, it has been very satisfying. My life started on June 12, 1880, and ended in California on May 18, 1973. I graduated from Montana University when I was 18 years old. I called my home Washington, D.C., living there for 8 years while I was in office. Being the first woman in Congress, some men saw me as a threat and did not respect me. Often I was told to sit down when I was speaking. I didn't listen. Women supported me, and I know I was doing the right thing. I believe women should have the right to vote. I was awarded the Susan B. Anthony Award when I was 92 in New York City for being a woman suffragist. I was the first woman in Congress and fought for the woman's right to vote. Who am I? Yes, I am Jeanette Lincoln.
My life was cut tragically short. I died in a terrible accident nobody expected, but many people watched. I was born September 2nd, 1948. In my early years, I lived in Framingham, Massachusetts. I did drama and was a Girl Scout. I've always loved coffee. I drink 3 cups a day. I also have always loved nature and the outside, which is probably why I became a space explorer. I went to Marion High School in Framingham. In high school, I had a sweetheart, Steven. Hanging with friends was also a thing I liked to do. I was the only girl at my high school prom with their dad for a date. Yuck. For some reason, I've always enjoyed love songs. One of my favorite singers is Carly Simon. My favorite song is You're So Vain. I sang love songs in the shower all the time. Years later, I had 2 children, Scott and Caroline. We loved going to the beach as a family. We were always smiling, especially me. I have always been able to multitask. People really seem to enjoy my company. Also, I inspire people to try new things and always shoot for the stars. Teaching is my passion. I taught 11th and 12th grade social studies. In 1985, I was selected from more than 11,000 applicants to participate in the NASA Teacher in Space project. I live by the saying, I touch the future I teach. My last word to my family and friends is goodbye. Who am I? Yes, I am Kristen McAuliffe.
I wasn't always a redhead. One day, a student of hairstyle said, "The hair is brown, but the soul's on fire." Then she dyed my hair this fiery orange color. I had a long, wonderful life. The audience loved me. My only regret is that I had a better education. I dropped out of school when I was 15. I was the first woman president and owner of a production company, Desilu Productions. I have received many, many awards. I was a television star. I have the main role in I Love Lucy. One day I met the love of my life, Desi Arnaz. On November 30th, 1940, we got married. In May 1960, we got divorced. After Desi and I were done, I got married to Gary Morin. On April 26, 1989, I said my famous last words, by Florida water, and I passed away. Who am I? I am Lucille Ball. After I finished school in my early 20s, I got a job as a bilingual secretary in London. My favorite author is Jane Austen, and my favorite book series is The Chronicles of Narnia. In 2001, I married Neil Michael Murray and had a son on March 23, 2003. I was 9 when I moved to a small village called Thornton. At lunchtime at school, I would tell people stories. My first book was submitted to 12 publishing houses. I had plans on writing an encyclopedia on the hidden notes about the wizarding world and a crime novel. My last four books set records for the fastest-selling book in history. I wrote that I finished my last book on the bus in a hotel. My series totaled 4,195 pages. I'm the first person to win 3 Smarty Prizes running. I was named Author of the Year in the 2000 British Book Awards. Who am I? Yes, I am Peter.
I strived for perfection. I never gave up. When I was little, I took things apart and put them back together. Life was not always easy for me. I lost my job and was adopted. I once ate so many carrots I turned orange. I dropped out of college, and before that, I was a hippie. My teacher invited me to study, and before that, I was a troublemaker. I owned part of Pixar and befriended Walt Disney. I had many enemies and many friends. I had lots of problems, but none of them stopped me. I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died because of it. I stuck my feet in a toilet and rarely washed. I only paid attention to work, and I would not suffer defeat. I made next, and I gave myself $8 a year. I was a multi-millionaire. I made iTunes and had a system. Plus, I owned one of the biggest companies ever. I proposed in Hawaii and sold my VW to keep my business going. I was rejected a lot and had a series of girlfriends. I loved blue, crocs, as in crocodiles, snakes, Moby Dick, and sushi. My last words were, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Who am I? Steve Jobs. Yes, I am Steve Jobs.
I'm just going to ask you how the volume is. Is it a little bit up? Okay, so we'll hold on just one minute.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Just a little louder? Good? Better? Okay. All right, you ready? Just hold on. You let
I love action and adventure. Now at 10, I made a short movie about my train crashing called The Last Train Wreck. You probably have seen at least 3 of my movies before because I am very well known in the entertainment industry. My movies go from a cute and cuddly alien and tiny creatures that multiply and go to a huge dinosaur destroying an island and a man-eating shark. My favorite time period to learn about is the Holocaust. I even made an Academy Award-winning movie about it. I'm a very ambitious person. You should always follow your dream because I did and be very successful. I am 69 years old, and I am mostly seen behind the camera filming next summer's blockbuster that everyone will be talking about. I dropped out of college to learn more about filming, but then went back to college in California Long Beach State University. I have never had a movie fail in my life, but in my career I've declined making sequels to some of my movies. Some of my friends you may know are George Lucas and Harrison Ford. Who am I? Yes, I'm Steven Spielberg.
I was fascinated by stories of the lives of my missionaries and their service. The Nobel Peace Prize was given to me in 1979. I was in the Missionaries of Charity for a few years. A plaque was dedicated to me. You can see my plaque at Manchester Square, Czech Republic. My birthday is on August 26, 1910. I was known for working with the poorest of the poor and by living among them. I also was known as the Saint of the Gutters. Sometimes people criticize me. I met Diana, Princess of Wales. Who am I? Yes, I am Mother Teresa.
everybody. Please excuse my hoarse voice. I always get a cold. I was born in Diamond Grove, Missouri, 1865. Days after I was born, I was kidnapped with my mother, Mary, who was a slave. My mother's master, Moses Carver, hired a man to find us. I was found on the road in a very bad condition, for it was a cold night. My mother was never found, though. Enough talk about my birth, though. Let's get to the exciting stuff. I was raised by Susan and Moses Carver. When I got older, I yearned for an education. So when I was 12, I left home to find an education. I traveled a lot, getting jobs and education here and there. I eventually was ready for college when I was about 30 years old. The first college I tried was not very nice and turned me down because of my race. I eventually got into Simpson College, but then transferred to Iowa State. When I got my master's degree, I stayed at Iowa State to teach later students. One day, when I was working, I got a letter from Tuskegee Institute in Alabama asking if I would like to teach there. During my 47 years working at Tuskegee, I made some amazing discoveries with the peanut and sweet potato. I made a lot of progress with my work and soon became famous. I've always said 99% of the failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. Who am I? Yes, I am George Washington Carver.
I got my job as a NASA astronaut by answering a college newspaper ad. In space, I spent over 343 hours on a jumper. As a child, I lived in Encino, California with my family. I would play baseball with the neighborhood boys. Then, when I was 11 or 12, I started tennis. Eventually, I was so good, I won the junior championship for girls. My first adventure that I had was a 1-year trip to Europe when I was 9. I died in 2012 of pancreatic cancer. Before that, I co-wrote 7 children's books about space, and I started a foundation which supports girls learning about science. I went to college for 9 years, but at Stanford College, I got a physics degree. That is how I became the first American woman to go into space and the youngest astronaut to go into space at age 32. One of my most fond memories is when I made an appearance with Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street in 1984. Who am I? Yes, I am sorry. I'm an explorer and a risk taker, and I've been in space twice in my life. Ironically, with all the dangerous jobs I've had, the worst injury I ever received was when I got a concussion when I slipped in my bathtub. I was born on July 18, 1921, in Cambridge, Ohio. Although I was named after my father, I was never called Junior. I went by the name Bud. I attended Muskegon College near where I grew up. When World War II started, I left school and became a Marine pilot. In 1943, I married my childhood sweetheart, Annie Castor. When the Korean conflict began, I asked for competency and flew 63 missions. In 1962, I went into space for the first time and became the first American to orbit the Earth. I piloted the Friendship 7 spacecraft around the globe 3 times and was the first person to eat in space. I continued to serve as an advisor to NASA while I ran for Senate. I served in the Senate for 24 years. After I retired from the Senate at age 77, I was invited to rejoin the space program and became the oldest man to venture into space. Scientists were worried about damage from fluid in my eyes and ears since I was so old, and I almost became deaf and blind during this flight. Who am I? Yes, I am John Bond.
I was shot in the left eye at only 15, but I didn't let that stop me. I continued to fight for education for girls in Pakistan. You will often see me wearing pink because it's my favorite color.
I don't like candy and I don't think dark chocolate should be called chocolate. I was born on July 12, 1997 in Pakistan, Swat Valley. I'm 17 now. I used to live in Pakistan, but now I live in Birmingham, England. The doctors in the first hospital removed a piece of my skull and kept it in my stomach until I was safe. I'm going to school in England and will graduate college. My fight for education will not be in vain once I graduate. I was the youngest person to get and share a Nobel Peace Prize. I also started a petition which held Pakistan's first right to education bill and started a fund for education for all girls. Who am I? I am the lawless.
Prior to my work in hospitals, they had sewage running through them. Not a good environment to get well. I had a physical strain from the Crimean War and never truly recovered. Up until my death, I encouraged the development of nursing in Britain. After the war, I received thousands of letters thanking me for my hard work. I am known as the Lady of the Lamp. One of my friends asked me to work at Qatari Hospital in Turkey. I immediately set off. When I arrived, the conditions were horrible. There were rats and fleas everywhere. The doctors wanted nothing to do with me, so I worked in the kitchen. Even worse, the hospital smelled horrible. Patients were dying more from disease than from injury. I was determined to find out why. I soon found that the hospital was built on top of sewage. That was causing a bad smell. I made sure all the sewage was cleaned. I was born on May 12, 1820 in Florence, Italy. As a child, I was very close to my father. He taught me several different languages. He also taught me history, philosophy, and mathematics. My sister and I were educated at home. Starting then, I knew I was in for an interesting life. Who am I? Yes, I am Florence Nightingale.
Good evening. I would like to introduce myself. However, I won't shake your hand for fear of getting germs. Anyway, when I was little, I did okay in school. But when I got older, I started to be really good at science. I am always saying, fortune favors the prepared mind. After school, I worked for scientists and worked on crystals, and now some crystals and they're different and that are different than others. When I found out, my name started to spread. After I got a job at a college and ended up marrying the love of my life. A request came from the emperor to work on juice. No wait, wine. Anyway, the wine didn't taste right. I found out that some had different bacteria in it, so I fixed it by taking the good bacteria and putting the good bacteria in the bad. In my life, I won over 1,500 medals, and that all happened to a little guy who was born in Dole, France. Who am I? Yes, I am Louis Pasteur.
I finished high school at 15 with the highest honors. After graduating, I worked as a tutor for children in Poland. I moved to Paris, France at the age of 24 to study mathematics and physics. When I was young, I moved to Germany. I am a well-known female artist. I have 431 paintings of women and children. You may be familiar with the boating party. I painted this one in the river scene. It took me 1 year to finish the boating party, 1893 to 1894. Sometimes when I need encouraging, I say to myself, when you shake the tree, you ought to be around when the fruit falls. In the year 1910, I stopped printmaking because of failing eyesight. This is 16 years before I died. In 1914, I stopped painting altogether. Who am I? Yes, I am Mary Cassatt.
I love animals. When I was just 5, I stayed in a chicken coop for a day just waiting for a chicken to lay an egg. Soon after, my dad got me a stuffed chimpanzee I named Jubilee. Later in my life, I got a chance to move to Africa. That was my lifelong dream. Then I started work there with a man named Louis Leakey. He really liked me, so he chose to ask me to take on a field of studying chimpanzees. I was thrilled and said yes. Day after day, I would sit in a tree waiting for a chimpanzee to come near me, and soon they did. They really did get used to me, and I loved playing with them, but I was getting older and more eager to go home. So I went home to start a club I call Roots of Shoes. Who am I? Yes, I am James.
During my life, I realized one thing. It's kind of fun to be impossible, and that's exactly what I did. In high school, I studied art. The Jungle Book, Mary Poppins, and 101 Dalmatians were all created by me. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was the first full-length animated film created by yours truly. My favorite food is Chilean beans. In fact, I carried a can every single place I went. Steamboat Willie was created by me in 1928. Fantasia, Bambi, and Pinocchio, and Dumbo were all created by me. I received 22 Oscars. I married Lillian Bound in 1925. We had two children, Sharon May and Diane Murray. Treasure Island was created in 1950 by me. In 1951, Alice in Wonderland, the movie, was created. I also created Disneyland and Disney World. My most famous creation is Mickey Mouse and Friends. My favorite song is Feed the Birds. I was born on December 5th, 1901 in Chicago. In 1966, I found out I had lung cancer. Sadly, I died of lung cancer on December 15th, 1966. My last words were Kurt Russell. Later, Disney World opened and my brother Roy ran the business from then on. Well, I know who all of you are. But the real question is, who am I? Walt Disney. Yes, I am Walt Disney.
When I joined the Yankees, I had pickle deals before games to strengthen my batting and throwing. When I was a young boy, I would do things that drove my dad crazy, such as swimming across the Hudson River or swimming to and back from New Jersey. My college I attended to was Columbia University. I played football and baseball. My favorite position for baseball was shortstop. I quit football because I joined the New York Yankees. My skill in baseball was so good the Yankees asked if I could be on their team, and I said yes. Since I joined the Yankees, I quit college. My position in the Yankees was first baseman because someone already had shortstop. My batting average was .340, and I played 2,130 consecutive games. My teammates and I won 6 World Series when I was on the team. The number on the back of my jersey was 4, and when I retired, it was the first number to be retired. Soon in games, my back started to hurt, so I didn't play all the games the whole time. Once I was about to finish the season at the last game, I made a speech and said that I was retiring. 2 years later, I was found dead lying on my couch. I died on June 2nd, 1941, at Riverdale, New York, and I was born on June 19th, 1903, at Yorkville, New York. I'm named after the disease that killed me. Who am I? Yes, I am Lou Gehrig.
You may call me Sparky, which is my nickname. Drawing is my passion and always has been. I failed almost everything in school. The other students would ask me to draw pictures in their notebooks, so that's what I did during class. My dog's name is Spike and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. Every morning when I was young, I got a cardboard box and a pen and started drawing. After high school, I started to submit my cartoons into major magazines. My first comic strip was called Wilfos. My most popular comic strip was started in 1950. It was named after a nut. I always used the same type of pen. My most well-known character had a vivid imagination like myself. He sat on top of the doghouse fighting the red bear. My comic strip was in over 2,600 newspapers around the world. TV producers were asking me to make my comic strips into TV specials. After a while, I said yes. A few years later, I won an Emmy Award. I retired in 1999. Who am I? Charles Schultz. Yes, I am Charles Schultz.
This concludes our evening. Thank you for joining us. It is now time to enjoy some of the food and music projects completed by these eminent guests.
Thank you again.